Hey, it's Adam. Okay, so today's video is going to be a recap of the one I made at the beginning of 2021, and basically I was talking about my plant goals as well as some plants that I had on my wish list for the year. It's now January 1st, 2022, and I thought it would be the perfect day to just go over that video and just see if I completed any of the goals and if I checked off any of the plants that I was wishing for. I'm also going to be adding some new plants to my wish list for this year, as well as discussing some new goals that I have. If you want to watch that video previously before this one, I'm going to link it right here, and then you can finish that and then watch this one. I also just happen to be wearing the same sweater that I was wearing in that video. I did not expect myself to buy all of the plants that are on this wish list, because obviously some are super expensive or just unavailable. So I just still added them anyway because it's a wish list and you can always wish. First plant that I had on my wish list was a Philodendron gloriosum. I did not really expect myself to get that this year, and I can't believe I did. I got it right at the end of the year. Let me show mine. Yeah, my sister got me this for Christmas, and I got a lot of the plants at the end of the year. So I really thought I wasn't checking off a lot of stuff, but then all of a sudden I got a whole bunch of plants that I had on my wish list. This also has a really nice new growth, so I can't wait for this to become a huge plant. Next, I had a Florida Beauty Philodendron, and I did not add this one because it is still super out of my budget, and also I'm trying to find one that has good variegation because they can revert. Third, I had a Philodendron Pastazanum, and I cannot believe that I got this plant right after making the original plant wishlist video. I have two more videos about this, one when I unboxed it and one as an update video that I made recently. And yeah, I can't believe that I got it right after making that video. I think I made it in February and I got the Pastazanum in April, so did not expect myself to get one so soon. Alright, and then fourth I had a Monstera Albo, and I did not get one. The prices are still crazy high. I think I'm gonna wait for the hype to die down and then maybe I'll get my hands on one, because yeah, the prices are mostly driven because everyone wants one, and also I don't know if I have the proper conditions for it yet, so I'm gonna wait until I have a proper setup. I heard they are very picky. After that, I have a Philodendron Melanochrysum on my wish list, and I also got this towards the end of the year. I did not get one, but I got two. First, I got a cutting for $20. I was talking about this on my TikTok. It is actually right now in my fish tank over here. I had it in sphagnum moss, and I put it in a Ziploc bag, and it sprouted one leaf, but then all of a sudden it started rotting. It just went downhill. It was actually growing the leaf, and it was doing amazing, but it just went downhill for no reason whatsoever. I popped out of the moss. The roots were not really growing that much, so I put it in my fish tank, and I'm hoping for it to start rooting, but for now it's literally just sitting there. And then the second one I got in a rare plant bundle. This one looks a lot better. It has proper roots, and I've repotted it into clay. Of course, it's in an airy mix, and it has this really nice large leaf. I think it is slightly yellowing, so I hope it doesn't fall off. There's this leaf as well, and then there's this leaf. And this one did not have a growth point. I put it in a Ziploc bag and it began growing this growth point. Then I took off the plastic bag and it started, the leaf got stuck a little bit, and it's kind of strange because I have it's sitting right there and it's next to my humidifier, so I thought it would be enough without the plastic bag, but apparently not. And yeah, I don't know what it's doing now. I still think it's going to sprout a new leaf, but yeah, it's a little bit, I find the Melanochrysum is a little bit tricky, especially when it comes to humidity. Next, I put a Philodendron Florida Ghost on my wish list, and this is another one I did not get, similar to the Florida Beauty, because they're just not as available enough, and also I'm trying to find one with good variegation, so even if it is available, it has to have good variegation, because the last thing I want is for them to revert into a Florida Green Philodendron. I've been looking, and cuttings just look like they have one nice ghost leaf, but then the new growth is completely green instead of the light green or the white that it should be. So I'm gonna play it on the safe side and just wait to find a nice perfect plant that already has ghost variegation on it, just so I can be sure that it won't revert, and also hopefully later on in the future the prices come down. After that, I have a Syngonium Albo, and I also did not get one, but I got two. They're both kind of struggling though. I will talk about each individually. So first, my friend gave me this one, and it was beautiful, and it had a new growth because it was a top cutting, and the new leaf was almost completely white, but it was rooting well in sphagnum, and then I took it out too early, I think, and I put it in leca, so it really didn't like that, and it stopped growing, and so it also dropped the newest leaf. So I moved it back in sphagnum, and it actually began to root again. However, there's no new growth, and also the leaf looks like it's beginning to yellow, and it was rotting. That's why I had to cut half of it off. It looks like it's gonna lose that leaf, and I hope it just puts out a new growth, because then it'll just be like a stump with one root. But yeah, this one went a little bit downhill, and that might have been my fault. And then let me actually just take the phone down and show you in my fish tank. There's the melanochrysum cutting right here. And then here is the other Syngonium albo cutting. So this one actually has like 3 aerial roots on it, but it's not really rooting. I got it in the same rare plant bundle that I got the melanochrysum in, so I got 2 doubles. She gave it as an unrooted cutting, and it's just the 3 aerial roots. I put them in the fish tank, and they have not rooted. I put them in leca, and they didn't root. I put them in moss, and they haven't rooted. So they're just back in the fish tank, sitting there for now. I hope it begins to root, because it's really just sitting there. I have no idea what to do to get the Syngonium albos to root, but they just take really long, and I thought they were supposed to be easy. All right, and then I got a pink rubber tree. These are the last 3 plants on the wish list are a little bit more common, but they were still my goal to get them, so I did. The pink rubber tree is back there. I'm gonna go grab it. This is my ruby rubber tree, and yeah, I really wanted this plant, and I was downtown with my friends, and I went to this really like quaint kind of convenience store, and I saw it, and I was like, okay, I need to get it. And I like the fact that it has a story behind it. I just remember seeing it in that convenience store, and I was like, yeah, this is perfect. And I brought it all the way back. One thing I must say though is that I think it needs more light. It put out 1 leaf, but since then it hasn't done much. And also this pot dries out way too much. They don't like water, but this one, by the next day, it's like fully bone dry. So I think I'm going to need to repot it. And yeah, maybe I can put this one outside in summer so it gets the proper lighting it needs, because I think they do like direct sun. After that, I put a Hoya Crimson Queen on my wish list. I also got a little plantlet from my friend, but it ended up dying pretty quick. And then just recently, I actually got that one behind me. I'll grab that one down as well. I found this one on Facebook Marketplace a few days ago, and it just has these really super large leaves, and it has some new growth at the top. It's kind of thin and flimsy though, all of these new leaves, which is strange. And also this big leaf here is yellowing, so I hope I don't kill it, but I thought these were supposed to be easy as well, so let's see how this goes. I should be giving it more light. I think I might move it to a sunnier window. All right, and then last on my wish list, I got this, or I had this Scindapsus Moonlight on my wish list, and I ended up getting it. The same lady who helped me import my Pastazanum actually sold me this, and it is, it's doing well, like in the fact that it's alive still, but it's just keeping 4 leaves, and it was just annoying because I wanted it to grow more and not just have 4 leaves. So I moved it from soil to leca, and since then, I must say the root growth has been crazy. It never grew this many roots before. But the top growth is still kind of slow, so hopefully that picks up in spring. But yeah, it still has 4 leaves. It dropped 1 and it grew this one in soil. And then since adding it to leca, I think it grew this really lanky stem, and it's opening this leaf very slowly, but let's see. I'm gonna wait till spring, maybe pop more cuttings in, like propagate it, and hopefully it becomes more full, because the root growth is amazing. I just want the leaves to now fill out a little bit more. And then after all of those plants, I listed 5 orchids that were on my wish list. To be honest, I didn't even get 1 orchid in 2021. I was just moving a lot, and I honestly lost some of the orchids that I already had in the process. Orchids just need a lot more light and space, especially when you want your collection to look good. Like, I have all my plants kind of designed around my room, so when orchids are not in bloom, they're kind of just green leaves, and they're not super decorative. And then yeah, with the amount of light that they need, it limits how many you can fit in a house, especially if you don't already have proper lighting as it is. So I did end up leaving a few, half are at my parents' house and half are at this house. The ones at my parents' house are all doing amazing, they're all blooming. I mostly have Phalaenopsis. The other ones were just, I had to get rid of some because they just were not blooming. And I want to try stuff other than Phalaenopsis, but they just weren't blooming for me. I need more reliable species, I think. But I've definitely nailed the care for Phalaenopsis orchids, and so whatever ones I have, I'm just focusing on maintaining them rather than collecting more and more. So while those ones finished blooming at my parents' house, the ones that I brought here that were not blooming, I converted them all to leca, and I'm noticing that the roots are doing like really amazing in leca, so I think I'm going to convert all of my phalaenopsis to leca. And then I'm just going to focus on maintaining them because I don't think I have the space to keep too many more orchids, but I'm definitely still interested in adding the ones that were on my wish list to my collection. So yeah, that orchid wish list will be an ongoing wish list. Okay, and then let's get started on the goals. So my first goal was to have fewer pots and bigger plants, and I did see that somewhere on YouTube. I totally forget who mentioned it first, but basically what that means is instead of having, like, for example, 10 little micans propagations, you combine them all into one pot and you get a full pot of micans rather than a whole bunch of little propagations, and just grow all your plants basically into specimen sized plants and don't have little propagations everywhere. So I must say I actually did that on my micans right there, which has become such a huge full plant. I just had so many cuttings of them, and then I combined them all in one pot, and now it's doing amazing. And yeah, I'm just really, I think I've successfully been doing that with all my plants. I'm focusing on making sure that they grow into specimens and I don't have like propagations everywhere constantly. The next goal after that was to have decorative pots, like have each of my plants in nice pots, because at the beginning of 2021, I had a lot of plants in nursery pots that were sitting on Tupperware lids, and I think this is the biggest goal that I've accomplished. Literally all of my plants are in clay pots with clay saucers now, and there's a few odd ones that are, for example, this one that's in leca, it's in a different ceramic pot, but I don't mind having an odd pot here and there. But for the most part, I have all my plants in clay, and they're all in their own decorative pot, and there's no plants that are just sitting in nursery pots or like, yeah. The point of plants and why we buy them is mostly for like decorative purposes, or that's my purpose at least, right? So besides enjoying caring for them, I want them to look good, and so instead of just leaving them in their nursery pots everywhere and just continuing to collect more, I've really focused and spent some time making sure each one has a nice pot, and that really made my collection look 10 times better. Alright, so that's pretty much the recap about 2021's plant goals and wish list. I'm now going to get started on 2022 plant goal and wish list. Alright, so I'm going to carry over through the plants that I did not complete on last year's wish list, and that is the Philodendron Florida Beauty, Philodendron Florida Ghost, and Monstera Albo. After those three plants, the next plant I want to add on my wish list is Philodendron El Chaco Red. I'm really focusing on getting a lot of velvet philodendrons. They're my new favorite plants. I don't know if I mentioned also, but I have this Philodendron Splendid, and it's growing a new leaf, and I also got a Varicosum recently towards the end of the year, and they've just been my favorite, so I just want to cross off the other velvet philodendrons that are on my list. So the next few are going to be, there's going to be a lot of velvet philodendrons. After the El Chaco Red, I'm interested in getting the Philodendron Glorious, which is a cross between Philodendron Pastazanum and Philodendron Gloriosum, I believe. And then the Splendid that I just showed you was a cross between Varicosum and Melanochrysum. So yeah, I'm just trying to collect them all because they're like all my favorite. After Glorious, I want to get the Luxurians. That is an expensive one. I did, and it's also not very common. I looked on Facebook Marketplace and I saw like one listing for it versus like Gloriosum, you'll find at least like 5. So, and yeah, it was pretty pricey, but I think it's one of the plants that's going to be my wish list for sure. After that, I want a Philodendron Gigas, or Gigas, I don't know how to say it. I heard those can be really tricky to grow. They're kind of like Melanochrysums with like more oval leaves. Yeah, I still need to research more about that, but it's definitely on my wish list. And then next I want to add a reversed variegation Hoya Bella to my collection. I have the one that's green with like cream edges, but I want the reverse, which is cream leaves with green edges on it. Hoya Bella is definitely my favorite. The one I have right now is just growing super fast, and hopefully the reverse variegation is just as easy. Okay, and then after that, I want to add a Monstera Dubai to my collection. I'm talking about, I think it's Dubai or Dubai, but it's the one where like you usually see them on boards and they shingle. And I heard they can be tricky as well, but I just saw someone on TikTok that had one. It was like small, and then she let her board and she extended her board as well, and the leaves just got super large, and it's now like 7 feet tall. So hopefully I can add a Dubai to my collection and it grows into that one day. And then lastly, I want to add a pink Syngonium to my collection. This is like the only kind of commonish plant. The rest of them are more expensive and rare. But I just wanted to throw in like a little pink Syngonium, whether it is the neon or the pink splash. I think pink splash is still considered rare, but whether it's one of those pink Syngoniums, I definitely want to add one to my collection this year. Okay, and then for my goals, my plant goals, The two goals that I did mention from 2021, I did fulfill them, but they're still always ongoing goals. Like, you need to keep up with them. So I'm still gonna carry those over to this year. And then I'm also gonna add 2 more goals. First one is I want to start incorporating my plants into other parts of the house. So as you can see, they're kind of all bunched in my room. I want to start moving them into other parts of the house, like the bathroom. I want to put some in the kitchen and just learn how to style them and not just condense them all into my room. But I also don't want them like in the way, and I also want to make sure that they're being cared for properly. So I do have some plants in those areas, but they're kind of neglected a little bit. So I'll have to figure that out. The next goal after that is I want to start reusing like boba cups, Starbucks cups, and like cooler cans. I have one plant up there on that shelf in a cooler can. I have a whole bunch of cooler cans and like energy drink cans that I have sitting on a shelf. They're all cleaned out, but I just have to plant stuff in it. So I want to start doing that and making sure that I'm actually using them and not just collecting the cans. And then I also want to collect boba cups more and Starbucks cups more for propagation. All right, and that's pretty much it for my recap and my new goals for the new year. It's definitely fun to like set goals and then do a recap video, because then I get to like those plants that were on my wish list. Now I'm like physically holding them and showing them, and each one like I can say where I got it from, and I'll just look back and remember all that. So it's just super interesting, and I can't wait to make the follow-up video. It'll be probably exactly in a year from now on January 1st, 2023. So stay tuned for that. And until then, I'll work on completing my goals and getting my wish list plants. Thanks for tuning in.